Hi, I'm Lippy.
And I'm Grumpy. Together we're Lippy and Grumpy Do Podcasting.
In this episode, War of the Worlds, teapots, large refund cheques, and how to win at roulette.
Now, Lippy.
Hello.
Last week you mentioned about shark cages.
Yes, I did.
And I was reminded of this clip from our favourite film.
What do you got here? Portable shark or a monkey cage?
Anti-shark cage.
Anti-shark cage. You go inside the cage. Cage goes in the water. You go in the water. Shark's in the water. Our shark. Farewell and adieu to you fair Spanish ladies. Farewell and adieu, you ladies of Spain. For we've received orders for to sail back to Boston. And so never more shall we see you again.
I think the laugh at the end says it all.
Yeah.
Now, hopefully I won't be banged up for copyright infringement, but I thought that summed up my feelings about you in a shark cage completely.
Well, I saw another video over the weekend of someone in a shark cage, one of the clear ones. So it's all plastic. It's not plastic. It's all
perspex of some description.
Yeah. So it doesn't look like there's anything there stop between you and the shark. And the door lock broke. So he's like holding on to the door and this shark just swims straight into the box with him and he just like pushes it out and pushes the door. And I was like, oh, that's my worst nightmare.
As Blackadder would say, it's a fate worse than death.
Yes.
Maybe one day, but I certainly won't be joining you.
I think I would change my mind just before getting in.
Also last week we covered urine sample pots and I had to go and have another one. Actually, and another one after that as well. But the middle one, the pot not only had the V cut out, but had a little handle for pouring.
Ooh, fancy.
It was very fancy.
Upgraded.
And then the one I had to do at a hospital had a massive, great big funnel and a big jug. So that was perfect. And then they just took the jug away and did. Yeah, that was very easy. Wee pot news, as they say.
Wee pot. A new segment on our podcast.
Yes, it could be. Yes, this week's Wee Pot. Well, hopefully there's no more of that.
Yes.
That's behind me. So on Friday, while we were dodging storms and various debris flying down the road, Davros took to the podcast and sent a live update as he went.
Yes.
So we covered a great white shark last week in Goring-on-Sea. He thinks if they move to Goring-on-Thames, then we need to be worried. And poses the very good question. If the UK has so many types of shark, are they not good eating? I don't know. I think I've had shark before, but
I don't think I've eaten shark.
So, not sure about that. That's a good point, though. And he's claiming the electric highway in Michigan is an idea robbed from his Daleks. The boys were originally powered by static electricity drawn from the floor of their city.
Ah.
So, Davros got there first.
He did.
We mentioned electric movers for caravans, and apparently father of Davros had one and kept he and his mother causing traffic jams on the highways of England well until his 80s.
Oh,
so well done there, yes. Whether he actually had the electric mover bit or just a caravan, I don't know. I suspect it's probably just a caravan. And Davros has consigned potato milk to the same bin that we did, saying the inventor deserves the same fate as the inventor of the Marmite peanut butter mashup. Quite correct there.
We would agree with that.
Absolutely. So thanks for your feedback, Davros. And we're always pleased to hear from listeners. Well, I say always, not always, but sometimes we are. Anyway, there was a major omission from last week's podcast, was to wish Chris a happy birthday.
Yes.
And I think the problem doing it so far in advance is you tend to forget what's coming up at the end of the week.
So forgot that it was his birthday.
We did. So happy birthday for last Sunday. And you've had a big weekend of fun.
We've had a great weekend of fun. Not necessarily organised by myself, but we had a lot of different vouchers and stuff that we had available. So we kind of merged them all together to do a big weekend of fun. So on Friday, got a takeaway, stayed at home, chilled. Saturday, was the start of the big weekend. We went up to London, thankfully drove to Richmond and got the tube because all the trains were closed. Cancelled.
Oh, they were. They're all over the place, weren't they?
But we drove to Richmond and then got the tube in, so it was fine for us. We were okay. But Chris had won a prize at work to go for lunch at the London Steakhouse Company and then go up the Shard.
Very nice indeed.
So we went for lunch, had a really nice lunch, glass of wine. Probably not great before going up the Shard. Then we had a really big gap between that and the Shard. So we went to Sushi Samba for a drink, which is the one on Liverpool Street that looks out. It's like right next to the Gherkin.
Oh, okay.
Has the really cool view. So we went there and then we went to the Shard. And I'm not the biggest fan. I'm not scared of heights. Heights I'm okay with. I have a weird thing about like leaning on something that could break.
Yes, I know what you mean.
Because that's obviously more realistic than the whole building falling down. It's just the thing that you're like leaning on breaks. So I have that weird fear. So considering how windy it was as well.
By the time you went up, the wind had got back up again, hadn't it?
It really had.
Quite
Thankfully, the Shard doesn't wobble in the wind, so there was no like swaying. So I don't think I would have done it if it had been swaying, but it wasn't swaying. So we went up. I got one picture near the edge with Chris, and then ran back. And he's got like 6 or 7 pictures of me stood right next to the exit door, just waiting for him to be finished walking around. But again, it was because of the wind. It wasn't too cloudy. The clouds were just kind of moving through.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, the view was incredible. Really, really good. And it was sunset, so got a nice view of the sunset.
Yeah.
But then the piece de resistance of our trip was a Christmas present from Chris's parents to go to War of the Worlds interactive play, I think it's how they word it. Oh my God, it was absolutely incredible. Honestly, like hilariously funny, as well as very good and very well produced and done. You've seen War of the Worlds, obviously.
I've seen the film, but I'm a massive, massive fan of the original album from Jeff Lynne.
Yeah, so the music runs all the way through as well.
When that came out, it was so different from anything else that I bought or listened to. And I still love it to this day. So, yes, I would be very much up for that.
Yes.
So what happens? So when you walk in, because we had a few theories, I'm not sure that any of them were right.
And we had absolutely no idea what we were going into. We just knew it was based on War of the Worlds and it was some sort of VR headset mixed in with a play live action thing. So we were like, had absolutely no idea. We actually ended up getting there an hour and a half before we were meant to get there, which was half an hour before we were meant to go in. So we were 2 hours early. But we thought we might as well just go and have a little nosy. We had heard there was a bar there, so we were like, great, we'll just go sit at the bar and then we'll wait till everyone, our other friends arrived. Walk in, there's this massive alien head from the film.
Oh, wow.
In the middle of the room with these massive green eyes. And you go in and you put your stuff in a locker so you don't carry anything with you, apart from a card to buy drinks. So then we're sitting down and he said, you'll know when to go through because there'll be pink smoke coming down. And we were like, okay. We were like, all right, fine. So we went and sat down. Next thing we know, these 2 massive smoke machines come shooting out the alien in a blue colour. So we were like, that's obviously what we're waiting for, but for our colour. But the whole bar was themed, had the music playing in the background, like on recycle. You can get food and drink. It was a really good start. And like every now and then you would just hear someone from the other side shout, we have more survivors, and then everyone starts cheering. So as you like survive the play, which I won't spoil that actually. Yeah, so if you survive the play, then you get the good round of applause, blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
Our time, we went in at 7:30, I think. So Chris had drank a fair bit at this point. I had a couple glasses of wine. So we were very much in the right mindset.
Yes,
to do an interactive play where they like talk to you and like guide you and like it not be awkward and just like go with the flow. So obviously I had given that away somehow by the first 5 minutes of standing in the queue waiting to go in, because the guy in charge goes, you put your hand up. So I put my hand up. He goes, well done, you're now the captain.
Oh no.
Instantly I was like, oh, what have I done? And not really knowing what was going to happen, I was in slight panic of, did I actually need to be the captain of something and take charge of things and make decisions? But thankfully you don't. So if you do become captain, don't panic. But yeah, so you go through the doors and it's it's an acting piece to start with. It's kind of explaining the backstory. You start in the present day, and then it takes you back in time, back to the event.
Yeah.
So they do start it as if it's present day, and they're talking about when the aliens came from Mars, and the girl doing the acting was absolutely incredible. She was like a scatty, paranoid type character, and oh my god, she was probably the best one we saw. She was incredible and very interactive, and they're very good at picking up on certain people. So where I spoke a bit too much, she was then picking on me a lot. Because
Surely you didn't speak too much.
Oh God. So then you move through and you watch a bit of a scene on some projectors, and then you go through again, and it's the aliens have just landed and somebody actually catches on fire. Well,
wow.
Kind of.
Wow.
But I jumped at that point because it's just fire shooting out everywhere in this tiny little room, and you're like, oh my God.
Wow.
But that was really incredible. You get guided the whole time. It's not kind of like you're left to work things out. You are guided. When one act finishes, another actor appears and is like, what are you guys doing here? Quick, you shouldn't be here. And like pulling you through to the next room. So you go through into this room, which is a house, and you're sat at the table and the lights flicker. And I was like, oh, I know where this is going. They flicker again. Then they just go off completely. Pitch black, Cannot see a thing. Next thing I know, someone jumps and screams in the corner. And I was like, oh my God, no, they're going around and they're touching people. They're going around.
Oh,
so
no.
I grab hold of Chris's hand thinking, okay, if I'm holding on to Chris, like, I'll be fine. And next thing I know, like, someone's tapped me on the shoulder, and then there's like fingers going down my back, and I was like, oh my God. And the actor in this scene, there's like strobe lighting at one point, and she's getting attacked by the alien. So I think the whole point is it's meant to be like the aliens' big tentacly things.
Okay, yeah.
Feeling for stuff in the dark. So I screamed 3 times. Every time I got touched, I was like, ah! But I think the reaction, then they do it more because then it freaks everyone else out, because I was like, I shouldn't have done anything. Turned out it wasn't the girl doing that to me, it was Chris.
Oh, good job he didn't lump him.
I know. Well, I thought I was holding his hand, so I was like, it wasn't him. But they were doing it to other people as well. So it was something they were doing, but Chris obviously took the moment to freak me out.
That's
so that was
funny.
it was really, that bit was really scary actually, like, but very good. And then there's a lot of VR stuff where you sit in a little boat. It's like being on a roller coaster, and you're watching scenes, and that's all really cool. And then you move through and you're kind of making your way from Woking to London is like what they're saying you're doing. Constantly trying to escape them. Loads of aliens around, loads of different scenes and sets. There's a slide at one point, which was awesome.
Well,
but I think the second scariest bit, and I did cheat a bit on this because I was honestly in a full-on panic when we got to this point. So you go into a church and you have to split up. So individually you go into confessional stands, or what they've made to be. And then you're meant to put the VR headset on, which obviously fully covers your eyes. And you've got noise cancelling headphones on. So all you can hear is the sound. And you go in and there's a curtain in front of you. So I thought, okay, I'm just going to check. So I open the curtain. There's a corridor behind it. So obviously something at some point, either we go out that way or someone's going to come in that way. And I was like, I can't deal with that. Like, it's really stressing me out. So I had half the VR headset on my head, like lengthways. So that I was watching what was happening in one eye, but I could see the curtain in the other eye. And the guy walked past, like right at the start, to make sure everyone was like set and okay with their headsets. And he was like, you all right? And I was like, I honestly can't deal with the thought of someone coming through there or something happening at some point. And he was like, right, okay. He was like, just put it on. It will only be me. And I was like, okay. And he was like, it's fine. Put it on. It will only be me. And I was like, okay. So I put the VR headset on and we're watching a scene, and you're in the church, and then all of a sudden you're inside the alien and it's taking blood from people, and you see the mechanical arms going into all the different holes. And obviously it's making its way round to you. So it's making its way round. And I was like, oh my God, okay, something's going to happen. And bless the sweetheart of a man walks over to my booth and goes, "It's just me. Don't worry. It's just me." And then did like the little pokey stuff that they're meant to do with that's meant to like be the arm, like jabbing at you. So thankfully he told me before it happened, because I think I would have died at that point. It honestly,
very possibly.
The build up was getting so much. I was like, I can't deal with being tapped any longer.
Yes, I like the idea of going to see it, but actually I'm not very good with jumpy, scary stuff.
It's very jumpy, scary.
Maybe not.
They must judge it, because behind us, there was 2 really young girls that must have been 10, 11, like super young. So I thought there must be some sort of code as they're going through as to what the group's like. So. Because there's one scene where someone's being stabbed by the alien and he's bleeding out in a room.
Ooh,
and
blimey.
he's all improv. Yeah. If nobody says anything, then he's just kind of like lying there, like moaning and not doing a lot. And Chris goes, "She knows first aid," and points at me.
Oh,
and he was
no.
like, "What should I do? What should I do?" And I was like, "Put pressure on it." He was like, "No, but it hurts." And I was like, is there a bullet in there? And he was like, "No, it was an alien." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, obviously." And then he was like, "You're not very good at first aid, are you?" And I was like, "They don't teach you how to deal with alien stabbings."
Alien attacks.
We're just in there, like, it's just me talking to him, basically, for the 5 minutes that we're in that part.
So that's Chris dobbing you in twice.
Yeah.
Saturday night.
Yeah, twice. So, but yeah, then there's a bar halfway through and you have a drink halfway through. And then, yeah, it was honestly, from not knowing what was going to happen, I would highly recommend it to people to go and do. If you don't even need to really be that into War of the Worlds, as long as you've seen it and understand kind of what happens, it's really good fun.
Excellent. Well, I wouldn't give any more of the plot away. Does sound fantastic. I suppose if you've seen it, you know roughly the sequence of things.
It follows the line of the movie.
Or read the book.
It follows the sequence, and it's just the sets are incredible.
Yeah, I bet they are. Did you know there was a film in 1953 as well called War of the Worlds?
I didn't know.
No, I didn't know that. I just looked it up, so I might have to get that and watch it.
Oh, I do have one more thing to say on it, actually, now that I've remembered. So the VR headsets, obviously, cover your eyes, cover your ears. You can hear music, but there are actors in the room with you that can't hear the music, but can hear what you're saying. And at one point, I didn't have mine on properly, so I could hear people around me. Yeah. And I just hear Chris singing along to the song.
Oh, no.
And then he's like, I lifted the thing and he's like dancing around this part that we were in. And when we came out, I was like, you do realise there were actors in that room that weren't watching or listening to the VR headset, so they could just hear and see you being an absolute plonker.
Brilliant.
So yeah, just don't forget that if you do it, that there are people in there that can see what you're doing. Perfect.
Oh, that sort of takes a bit of the karma, doesn't it?
It does,
honest, being caught out singing badly. Good. Well, I'll ponder that one. I quite like the idea of going, but I might be a bit of a wuss. So.
It's good as a group. There were quite a lot of just couples there, but there were 6 of us, and it was good fun.
Well, keeping in London, Charlotte's announced she's doing the Shine Night Walk on the 24th of September, which is, I think, it's certainly 26 miles, and I think it follows at least some of the London Marathon, if not all of the marathon. And it's run overnight to raise money for cancer research, which obviously is a cause quite close to many of our family members. So kudos to her for doing that. I think it's a work instigated thing.
Yes.
I think there's a whole group of them from work out, which is really cool. So that sounds pretty good. And I see they're looking for volunteers to help marshalling, so I may well, depending on whether I can stay awake past 8 o'clock in September, which is pretty tough at the moment, but we might be all right come September.
We'll see.
Then I might go up and help, because that would be fairly cool to do. I should imagine it's a magnificent atmosphere.
Yeah, I bet.
It's a big old thing, and they do it it's not only London, they do it in many cities around the UK. Yeah, it's a good. I suppose it's a relatively easy fundraiser. It's not too complicated.
No.
To organise. Once you've done one or two, it's
just rinse and repeat, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So as long as you've got the same organising team, then it should be straightforward. But
my only advice to her would be to take lots of snacks.
Yes, I think there's feeding stations, but yes, you're right. You want lots of snacks and a very comfortable pair of boots or shoes.
Yes.
So
flip-flops, maybe.
definitely not flip-flops, and definitely don't buy them the week before.
No.
So last week we looked at wee pots, and I mentioned motorway service station stainless steel pots not being very good for pouring. And I was a bit disappointed to find not very much information about this on the interweb. A few people moaning about how bad they are. And then I did find the mother of all explanations about why teapots drip. And it was so complicated, I had to go and lay down for a bit. It's all to do with the fluid dynamics, basically. I say basically, complexly. Yeah. So part of it's to do with the tea and the water and the speed that you pour it and what have you. But I would have thought they would have tested that before selling so many of these hideous things.
I think so. You would have hoped so anyway, that they had done some sort of research into that.
You would have thought so. When I left school, one of the jobs that I interviewed for was at a testing laboratory where they tested all sorts of things, from switches through to gas bottles and all sorts. And the job involved setting up rigs that operated the device for, 2 or 3 days non-stop, just to see when it broke. So you would have thought they would have something that was pouring tea at different temperatures, because apparently that has an effect as well.
I don't see how, but that would be interesting.
No, I don't. But I don't understand fluid dynamics. I've also just realised that I said Jeff Lynne for War of the Worlds, and it's not. It's Jeff Wayne. Jeff Lynne was Electric Light Orchestra, yes, and Jeff Wayne was War of the Worlds. So please don't write in. I know I made it.
I know I made a mistake.
Talking of mistakes, did you see the cheque that Gareth Hughes got from his Northern Power Grid electric company?
No, I did not.
It was 2,324,252,080,000 pounds.
That's a mistake. Cash it quick.
Well, they've called it an oversight, which clearly it is. And I don't know what would happen if you'd cashed it. I think it probably would have bounced.
Oh yeah, you can do. Yeah.
Just the interest on that for a couple of hours would have probably paid the last electric bill.
Yes. Yeah. Did you see the response Specsavers had for it though?
No, I didn't.
They commented on his Twitter post saying, "Hang on a minute." Because, you should have gone to Specsavers. All of their adverts are like people making really stupid mistakes, and then the tagline being, you should have gone to Specsavers.
Yes, very good.
No, it's very good.
Very, very good indeed.
Yes. I do have to say, the marketing departments of companies must have so much fun these days. They seem to just be able to do whatever they want.
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah. And some of them are really funny and also really helpful.
And I saw an article about...
Breath of fresh air.
It was the Aldi marketing team. Something hadn't got approved to go out. And it was just a picture of him being like, well, I did it anyway. Who's going to stop me? They've gone, well, they didn't sign it off, but it's funny, so post.
Yes, quite. Yes. You just
once it's out there, it's out there. There's something you can do about it.
Well, the thing is that you can retract it, but then people take screenshots, so it's never gone forever.
No.
Never gone. Now, I wasn't actively looking for houses to retire to, but I have found one in Southampton that is perfect. Oh. So it's a bungalow, which is good for our aging joints and what have yous and muscles. It's within short distance of a golf course.
Yeah.
For wife of Grumpy. And in the front garden, one of my favourite objects, an electricity pylon. Now, not unsurprisingly, they've not put anything about the pylon in the details. So when people turn up to view the house, the first thing they see is this whacking great pylon, which I think is an object of beauty, personally.
I mean, I'm sure there's more humans like yourself that it's a perk.
Well, on the basis there is a pylon appreciation society in this country, then I would imagine there's at least 2 of us.
Exactly.
I'm fairly certain there's a few more. But of course, it then raises a question about living near high-tension electricity cables, and that's sometimes viewed as not being particularly good for you.
No, true.
Good position, Southampton, South Coast.
Yeah.
Now, we've been getting out and about a little bit more, and we went to see the Dorking Cat Killer on Saturday night.
I've heard, yes.
Very pleasant meal there. And I can report there's been no activity on the dead cat discovering front.
Oh, okay. No new cats.
Yeah, just to be clear, the Dorking cat killer doesn't actually kill cats. She actually comes across dead cats.
Yes.
Or they fall out of trees.
Yeah.
So so
Or they run into her car.
Yes, exactly. It's not. It's a nickname given to her by her children, which we picked up on. Now, Friday was a bit of an interesting day weather-wise, and we stayed pretty much indoors. We were due to go and do something on Friday, so I'd actually taken the day off work. But we had to postpone it till Saturday because it just didn't seem wise to drive in the middle of a red weather warning when it was avoidable. However, there seems to be a new activity now, which is watching the planes land at Heathrow.
I couldn't watch, to be honest.
No, I'm not sure I would want to watch too much. I'm not the best flyer in the world. But apparently there's a guy who's got a platform and a camera, and he live streams on YouTube planes landing at Heathrow. And he's done it for a period of time, and presumably will have earned a fair bit of money over the last few days. And I believe we've got more storms on the way. So
I know today actually seems worse than Friday. I was walking outside. I was giving a show round to a lovely couple. And I had to stop and be like, I'm really sorry, I can't talk to you while we're walking because we were both all heads down, like just pushing into the wind. Yeah,
it's shocking. Well, we've got the jigsaw run coming up at Dunsfold Park on Sunday.
That was windy when we did it, wasn't it?
Well, no, it was windy, but we've had windier ones. And the wind speeds dropped right down for Sunday, but there was one occasion where they're running down a runway which is a mile long into the wind, and it was so strong it affected the top runners by a couple of minutes. It was, I mean, it's a fair proportion of the run because you do it twice. Some people decided not to have breakfast that morning and then collapsed halfway down the runway. Yeah,
helpful for the team that are there. Fun.
Absolutely, and yes, so hopefully we don't have a repeat of that, but it can be very windy down there. So, in fact, a friend of mine who's got a garage there sent a video of his shutter doors banging, going bang, 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 bang in the wind, really very, very loudly. So, I would imagine it was quite unpleasant down there.
Yeah, got to watch out for those pesky landing lights as well.
Yes, you do. We're not going to talk about that. Funny, I had that discussion today. I was talking to the lady that's organising the event and mentioned the landing light tripping event.
And the lovely photo that's in the living room.
Yes, indeed, yes. Or maybe we'll share that on social media.
So talking about watching planes land at Heathrow, Chris's parents flew home in it. They had been in Tenerife and they landed Friday morning. Well, Friday afternoon in the thick of it. She said it was absolutely fine. Even took 30 minutes off their flight time where they were getting pushed by the wind so much.
Yes, well, I imagine that'll make a difference.
She said it was iffy, but it was fine. You couldn't really tell as a passenger in the plane what was going on.
Was it a big plane? Was it 747? Oh, no, they don't fly anymore, do they?
I think it was like an EasyJet size plane.
Oh, okay. Okay, so it'd be the smallish plane.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're a lot better than they used to be, but that still would be quite scary.
Yeah.
I know friends of ours were due to... when was this? So Saturday, they were due to come home from Lisbon in Portugal, and they ended up getting as far as Paris.
Oh, wow,
I think I think they stopped and refueled and eventually went, but it was they were on the tarmac or in the airport for quite a long while. So somebody suggested going via Eurotunnel.
Yeah, I think if we got to Paris, I'd be like, I'm just going to get off here and I'm just going to get the train home. It's fine.
Yeah, but I guess lots of people want to do that, and it becomes a bit of a
issue then.
Fun fight. Yeah. Anyway, we've talked about hustles, and last week I think we talked about it, or the week before. We've started watching Inventing Anna, which is the other series I mentioned last week, which looks very good. And the young actress who plays Anna is very good. She plays Rose in, Ozark. It's very good in that. Okay. So, so well worth watching. Watch the first one, which is very intriguing. I'm not sure the reviews have been brilliant, but we don't pay much notice of those. Anyway, I was flicking through an email from a website called The Hustle on Sunday, and they were talking about a man that put £100,000 bet, and this is in 1969, so that's a fair chunk of change, as you could say, on a single spin of the roulette wheel. And he wasn't chancing it. he'd worked out that casinos tend to change cards and dice pretty regularly because the cards get messed up. But they don't change roulette wheels. They just leave them. So you end up with little chips and wear on the mechanisms. And he reckons it was possible to predict where the ball was going to land. He was so good at it, he earned the equivalent in today's money of $8 million.
Wow.
Absolutely. It's
That's
incredible.
impressive.
It is really impressive.
Because also, I feel like roulette's one of those games where with certain games like blackjack and poker and stuff, the casino sometimes stop you from playing because they think you're counting cards or...
Yes, absolutely.
But actually with roulette, there's none of that. It is pure luck, or not luck in his case, but they wouldn't have been able to say, oh, we think you're cheating, because you can't cheat in a game where it's a ball landing in a peg.
Well, it's supposedly completely random, but he spent weekends commuting between... Well, he was a doctor between the operating table and the roulette table, manually recording thousands upon thousands of spins and analysing the data for statistical anomalies. And you've got to remember, 1969, we didn't have a computer or a spreadsheet. The concept of that was many, many years away. So it's a massive amount of work. And he experimented until he had a rough outline of the system based on previous winning numbers. So he said if numbers 1, 2 and 3 won the last 3 rounds, he could determine what was likely to win the next 3. He doesn't give his secret away, but clearly there was something in there that worked very well. So there's a very, very long article here, which is really intriguing. I'm not going to go through all of it, but I'll put a link to it.
Interesting.
Because it is, absolutely astonishing. And the 8 million he made was between 64 and 69. So it was
not a long time.
One of the best get-rich-quick schemes you can have. But, well, it wasn't quick because he spent many years analysing the data. But good for him, is what I would say.
Yeah.
Absolutely good for him.
I'll cheer anyone on that's taking money back from casinos.
Yes. Well, they must have hated him. Right. So have you got a top tip for this week?
I do. A very, very simple top tip.
Good.
My top tip is to go to the War of the Worlds experience.
That is a good top tip.
Because it will be the best experience you've had in a while.
Yes. But don't take Chris, because he'll dob you in and he'll touch you.
Make you... Yeah.
The scary times.
Let's say make you jump over, touch you.
Should we do that one again?
No, I'm just joking.
Okay. Excellent. Well, I've got a wee-based fun fact.
As in
wee. As in wee. So wood frogs in Alaska have been known to hold their urine for up to 8 months, sticking it out through the region's long winters before relieving themselves once temperatures increase. The urine actually keeps the animal alive while it hibernates, with special microbes in their gut that recycle the urea, which is the urine's main waste, into nitrogen.
Ooh. So, my question, do bears do the same then? Because bears hibernate.
They do. I don't know.
Do they hold their wee? That's impressive. You would have a massive urine infection if you did that as a human.
Well, if I could keep it for longer than 5 hours at the moment, that would be remarkable, to be honest. So I shall be like a wood frog.
Yes. Channel your inner wood frog.
I can feel some more birch coming on if we ever got around to doing the first birch. That's it for this podcast. Thank you so much for listening.
You can help spread Lippy and Grumpy's view on life by leaving a review on your favourite podcast platform.
If you're not sure how to leave a review, or if you download from Spotify, there's some help at lippyandgrumpy.uk/review.
And if you would like to get in touch, email podcast@lippyandgrumpy.uk.
So it's goodbye from me.
And goodbye from him.
Goodbye.
Bye.